Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to Get Your Geek On's Marvel Cinematic Universe Retrospective. I'm Robert, that's Aaron, and we're here to talk movie by movie through the MCU's Infinity Saga, 23 movies across 11 years.
Now, expect spoilers, guys, as we talk about each movie, but we'll start off every video letting you know whether we feel this is an essential movie to the overall arc of the MCU. Think of this as your guide into getting into the MCU.
There are definitely a couple of filler movies, although if you're a completionist like me, maybe you'll rate them all as essential. I think if you've been watching our videos, you know that's already not true.
No, not at all.
All right,
True.
so this time we're here to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp. So on the heels of the biggest movie of all time, Marvel hit us with Ant-Man and the Wasp in July of 2018. The movie made $75 million opening weekend, $623 million over its run. It bested the original by about $100 million.
Nice.
And returning, we had Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, and Michael Pena, as well as director Peyton Reed. New characters included Ghost, played by Hannah John Kamen, Janet Van Dyne, played by the lovely Michelle Pfeiffer, and Dr. Bill Foster, played by Lawrence Fishburne. So, all right, Aaron, is this movie essential?
There's about 36 seconds of this movie that's essential. Yes. Literally.
Surprisingly, because it came right on the heels of Infinity War, this movie is not essential at all.
No.
It's heavily tied in.
Yeah.
Like if it matters to the saga, if you're only watching Ant-Man movies, it matters, but you don't have to watch this at all. They explain every detail that you need in Endgame. There's nothing that happens in this movie that's not explained.
Which
in
is
Avengers
sad because I don't know.
I was really surprised by that looking back on it. All right, so it's not essential. Public expectations, right? Do you remember what people were talking about as this movie was coming out?
I remember kind of down the middle. A lot of people were hyped to see it. And then the other end, it's like you said, we just came off of Infinity War, and people were like, "Well, I want the next movie for Infinity War. I want part 2."
Everybody wanted, the next movie, which they still, as this movie was coming out, they still hadn't told us what it was going to be called.
No, it was still just part 2 or whatever.
It was Avengers 4. That's the only thing they told us. And so I think there were a lot of people that were hoping that this movie would reveal some more things, would take the next step. And that was me as well. I mean, the public was definitely kind of going, really? So close to Infinity War? Okay. And for me, this was probably the first Marvel movie since the original Ant-Man that I wasn't super hyped for.
Yeah.
And that movie, even though I liked it, I wasn't crazy about it. I didn't think it was great. And I remember the previews for this movie didn't make me, jump out of my seat. I wasn't like, oh, that looks so cool. It was more like, okay, it's another Ant-Man movie. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly what we got.
Oh, it is. It very much is. I agree with you 100% with everything because it's just,
Yeah. So I remember walking out of this movie the first time I saw it being just a little bit disappointed, a little bit kind of like, oh, okay, it was fine, but it wasn't really great. It was just kind of, nah. What about you? The first time you walked out, similar?
Very similar. It was very much like, really, this was our next step. This almost felt, for me, it almost felt like a small step backwards because there was nothing to contribute.
It was only a small step backwards because he's Ant-Man.
Exactly. A little end step back. So for him, it's a big step, but it was just, that's how I felt after watching it. It was that small step backwards, and we got nothing to progress what's going on with the Avengers or anything.
No.
So, and again, it falls under the same, almost the same plot holes that everything else does of plot protection.
We are going to talk about the plot holes because there's a lot of them.
I meant plot protection more, but plot holes. That's why it came out.
Plot armor.
Plot armor, because he can't, some people can't die in this one throughout the whole film. In theory, because it was between, it was supposed to be before, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it kind of runs concurrently. A lot of the events happen before the events of Infinity War, and then the post-credit scene happens at the same time than Infinity War is happening. But let's just get into the movie. So Ant-Man is nearing the end of his house arrest that he got after the events of Civil War. And while he's, a couple days away, he actually has a vision of a woman who turns out to be Janet Van Dyne. And he contacts Hank Pym to let him know about his vision. Now, Hank and Hope have been on the run since Scott was arrested because he used their technology. But they've also been using the technology to shrink their lab, shrink their cars and their vans, basically to avoid detection. And they've been working to build a quantum tunnel because they want to try and bring back Janet. They think she might be trapped in the quantum realm and they can get her. Now, they think that Scott's vision is the missing key to locating her, and so they kidnap him and take him out of his house arrest, and they leave a giant ant there to mimic his movements and make sure the ankle monitor doesn't leave the perimeter or anything like that.
Yeah.
Now, the three then are encountered by Ghost, who is a former S.H.I.E.L.D. assassin who's looking to use the quantum tunnel to heal her issue that she's having with quantum phasing. An arms dealer is also after the team. He wants to use the quantum tunnel to extract energy and basically make money. Lots of jokes, lots of hijinks later. Hank is able to retrieve Janet from the quantum realm, and it turns out she can use the energy she's been absorbing to help Ghost, our villain. So we kind of redeem the villain a little bit. The movie ends with Scott on a mission to extract more quantum energy, but he's trapped in the quantum realm when Hank, Janet, and Hope are all dusted away.
Okay.
That's the plot. Tell me what you got.
I fell asleep halfway through that, so I really know. No, and not because of
me?
you. No, because of the movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even know where to start.
This is my biggest problem with this movie is that the stakes of this movie feel so low. Yeah. Especially coming off of Infinity War.
Yeah.
It's just like there's nothing in the end. You know, I remember at the time this movie came out only a couple months after Infinity War.
Correct.
And that didn't feel long enough. Now it's less than a week.
Yeah. That's true because we just watched it last week.
And so it's like it's even closer. Like this is a movie you need to not. This does not hold up well when you're watching them in order like this because it needs to be separate. Like the only way that I could see you enjoying this movie is like watch the first Ant-Man, watch the second Ant-Man, you know, and just enjoy them on their own. It's not that this movie's a bad movie because actually I think rewatching it, I was surprised at myself how many times I was laughing along with it or enjoying it. But there's no stakes. It's all about fun. You know, the characters, again, I enjoy them, but there's just coming off of Infinity War, it was extremely disappointing.
It really was. And what made the first movie great almost made this movie bad.
Okay.
You know, to me at least, you got the first movie where it literally poked fun at itself, the whole movie. And this time it tried to do that, but it was almost awkward at times when it tried to do that to me. Or they just didn't feel like the jokes would have fit well enough to be like, oh, that was funny. But again, there was plenty of parts I was laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. The opening scene's funny.
The school scene where he's like half size or like quarter size.
Quarter size, so yeah.
It's a funny sequence. Like I was enjoying that. The shrinking technology going between, you know, getting smaller and growing larger and doing that. Like again, it was inventive. It was cool. The way they did like the fight scene with the Wasp in the restaurant, like all that stuff was cool. Again, it just was like, man, this is just so low stakes.
I don't know. Something about this one. And again, I guess, I mean, I don't know how far we want to go in this part real quick. The villains were just, I think we've said this in another movie, very forgettable. And in this one, they're very forgettable again.
Well, and they're not even really villains.
No.
Like you have, you know, Ghost, who is basically a victim. And, you know, now she's willing to do whatever it takes to survive because she's about to die.
Yeah.
So she acts villainous, but she's not truly a villainous person.
She just wants to get a cure.
Right. She thinks that, you know, this is her best shot to live. And so she's willing to do what it takes. But you've got, you know, Lawrence Fishburne basically acting as her conscience.
Yeah.
You know, saying, you know, we can't do this. You know, like there's at one point where she's like going to threaten Scott's daughter. And he says, if you do that, I'm out. I'm not going to help you. Like, I'm not willing to go that far.
Exactly.
So you kind of he's not really a bad guy.
Right.
And, you know, he's looking at different options and different opportunities to try and, you know, help this woman Ghost.
Yeah.
And then you have, you know, the bad guys that are like the henchmen that are the arms dealers, and they're goofy. He just wants to make money. Yeah. You know, that's all it is.
But they're just so goofy in this. It's not even... It almost reminded me of the Three Stooges at some points. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and the running gag about the truth serum is hilarious. I was loving it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's very just kind of goofy and dorky.
It is.
And Luis, again, you know, he steals every scene he's in.
Oh, gosh,
Luis is great. I love him
still.
But again, this whole movie, I'm just like, why did they make it?
And that's how I felt. Like, it's, again, going back to what's his name, Sonny, the guy she's running from, Sonny. I felt like I was watching the Three Stooges. Like at first he comes off as this menacing, like I'm a mobster kind of feel to him. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it. She kicks all their butts in the opening fight scene. Well, not opening fight scene, but the fight scene in the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Then you get that peak of Ghost and her fighting style. It's like, ooh, okay, I'm liking this. I'm digging it. And then we see Sonny next. It's the Truth Serum part, I think, is the next time we really see him, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we see a couple small scenes with him, but yeah.
And again, at this point now, he doesn't have that menacing part to him anymore because I love the joke, the Truth Serum.
Yeah.
But then it's the joke. The whole scene is this joke of the Truth Serum.
Yeah.
And you lose that menacing part. And then after he tells the whole story and Ghost is like, oh, finally, or whatever, and she shows up, how he gets scared crudless. He's like, ah.
Well, I mean, she did just appear out of nowhere. Baba Yaga.
And I would give that to you.
Everything funny. They do in this movie is about having fun, making jokes. Like every scary moment is played for laughs.
It is.
Every, like everything that we have, we have ants like attacking people and hurting people and building things. Like it's all it's played for laughs. It's played for jokes. It's dorky. It's meant to be.
Yeah.
So the big thing that I want to talk about is I have like two huge plot holes that I'm like, I have to talk about these. Okay, so number one.
Okay.
Why in the world do Ant-Man and apparently Hawkeye get house arrest deals after they defy the Sokovia Accords in Germany, get arrested, put on the raft, and get broken out by Captain America? Why are they then given house arrest deals? That makes no sense.
I feel like after Captain broke him out, they just shut the doors. No, just
leave
go.
it. Leave us here. Leave us here.
It's unlocked. I know. Just go.
Like it makes zero sense. Like what did they do? Did they immediately leave and like call Secretary Ross and be like, our families? Because it's kind of in Infinity War, there's that line that they're on house arrest. It was too hard on their families. So I kind of got the feeling that Cap broke them out. They ran around for a little while with Cap, and then we're like, oh, this is really tough on our families. It's really tough for us to be away. We can't go visit. And then they tried to cut a deal. So it makes no sense.
It doesn't. And there should be like a movie talking about that, if anything.
No,
but you'll never get that.
I don't want that movie.
You don't want
actually.
That?
I love Marvel. I don't want that movie. I'll watch it.
Okay.
But I don't want it.
So that's your first one.
That's my first one. The second one is that apparently they can just shrink or grow anything with a remote. And that is... we've never seen that technology before. We've always had to have PIM particles. We've always had now apparently whether it's vehicles or buildings or whatever, we can just, and it shrinks or it grows. What?
And then that comes back in Endgame because they have to get those PIM particles. We only have this one thing. Wait a minute, you were just shrinking things left and right 5 years ago.
Right. I have no idea what's going on.
So
and obviously, Hank is the mastermind behind all of that. So him being dusted was the most important thing that happened in this movie because they couldn't use him to get more PIM particles in order to travel, through the multiverse or whatever. They had, that's why they had a limited supply was apparently because
that's all he
wasn't around.
Made. Yeah. See, and my thing was my plot holes one.
Okay.
So if you're telling me if I shrink down, I'll eventually get these powers to heal everything, because she could heal the girl. They explain nothing of how that works.
Quantum energy that Janet's been absorbing that just apparently she can release however she wants. Yeah. She has to do it to Michael Douglas first.
Yeah, because he's freaking out.
Right. Because his mind is being melted, and so she's able to basically help him.
But then why didn't your mind melt when you went in? Because if it's already happening, okay, I'll let that slide. And then talking about, like you said, the shrinking, the expanding, they emphasized in the first film how shrinking like that warps the mind, unless you're wearing the special helmet. And they're never wearing it.
And they're walking around in the quantum realm with nothing on.
That, and then when the scene where she, not Janet, Hope and what's his name? The funny guy. Luis. They're in the car and they're shrinking.
I think the rules are different if you're in a vehicle. So that one I can
You'll let that
behind.
Slide?
I can get behind that one. I could say what they're doing is they're shrinking the car, and so you're inside of it. The car is acting like a suit, right?
Maybe.
So I can get behind that. They build the car with the same technology as the helmet or whatever.
Okay. Well, I'll let that slide then for a second.
But yeah, Michael Douglas is walking outside in the quantum realm without his helmet on.
And he stressed in the first film, do not do this. And he was like, okay, I'm going to do this now. You stressed how we shouldn't do that. So like those were like major things to me. The car one I'm still iffy on because like for me, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you have that much time on your hand, you could customize the car. Go ahead.
I guess
but
so.
I don't know.
And we didn't see them use any vehicles to shrink down and or be in that weren't created by Hank. You know, so again, all of the technology, all of the, whether it's the buildings or the cars that they shrunk down and were inside of,
Hank had. Yeah.
It was only actually Hank technology. But
I'll give you that.
It's the same thing with the building. He was inside the building, inside the quantum realm when it shrunk down.
So it's like I'm still okay.
I mean, technically, I guess Ghost and Dr. Foster were inside the building when it got shrunk down. I don't know how. No, I don't think so.
No, they weren't in there.
I don't know. There's so many, and like the building, just buildings appearing out of nowhere. Apparently, no one's gonna.
How would it have electricity and plumbing?
Well, it definitely won't have plumbing, which they never show, so they can get away with that. They never show running water, so
that's
I guess.
True.
But yes, electricity,
where are you gonna get
power.
It's not connected to a grid.
I guess maybe he's able to build something that is self-sustaining. I mean, I don't know.
So wait, he
like
could build an arc reactor?
Maybe. I don't know. They're not going to explain it.
No.
Because this movie's all about jokes.
It is.
So, okay. We've been talking about plot holes. We've been talking about negative things. So let's talk about some fun things. Like this movie does have inventive, fun action in it. It's got a lot of jokes, most of which work.
Yeah.
I like the characters. I'm not a big fan of Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp. I didn't really care for her in the first Ant-Man movie either. I don't really care for her in this movie. She's not terrible. It's just not my favorite performance.
Yeah.
But overall, like the movies, it's fine. It's fun.
Yeah.
Even. It's just not what I want, especially coming off of Infinity War.
Right.
So I think I really tried to. I tried to watch this movie in a vacuum, try and not have it be part of this and just be, okay, I'm just evaluating it on its own merits. Is it a fun movie?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I had to do because at the end of the day, watching it as part of this project and part of this, series of videos, it's not essential and it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yep.
And it feels like a major letdown after Infinity War.
It does.
If you watch it independent of that, I think you're going to have fun with this movie. It's a fun superhero movie where you can enjoy, low stakes action. The world's not ending, which, we've talked about before. We like movies where the stakes are lower, where it's not a world ending event. Right. But if you're coming right off of Thanos snapping half the Avengers out of existence,
we need something now.
I need more stakes than this movie.
We definitely do. And one thing that did bother me, and maybe it's another pothole or just something, I've never been under house arrest, but apparently it's very easy to get that ankle bracelet on and off. Like, how did... Okay. Yeah, we're not going to talk about it. And I did not... One character I do want to comment on that I did not like was the FBI agent. I did not like him at all in this film.
Very Keystone Cops. He's just completely incompetent.
Yeah.
He's,
And I don't know if it's a second watch through, because the first watch, I don't remember hating him.
Yeah.
On this one, I hated that character. I was like... What's the point? Especially the joke at the end. What do you mean you'll see me again? And then he's like, "Well, do you want to get lunch?" Like, really?
Yeah.
The
button of that joke didn't work.
No.
Like the first setup where Scott was like, "What do you mean you're going to see me again?" Oh, I thought you were like inviting me out to dinner. Like that whole confusion
part worked. I loved it
really well. And then they killed it with that final joke. He's like, "Do you want to get lunch?" And I was like,
"What? Just go. Please leave. I didn't want to hear you talk anymore." Paul Rudd sold it, and then you just kind of like stabbed it. I want to get my 2 seconds with Paul Rudd. Nope.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that the director and
I mean, there's a lot more.
Not just the actor.
I know. I'm being mean to that actor, and he looks like a great actor, but
yeah, he's been in a few things, and I think he's giving a performance that fits this movie
exactly. He did probably exactly what they wanted him to do.
But again, I'm. It's just not the movie I wanted.
No, I was not pleased. I was not happy. Ghost, to me, I like the actress.
Yeah.
But the character just didn't sell me.
I thought that was actually really cool. And talking about special effects, just for a brief moment, like the way that they do, like the shrinking and the growing, but then, the phasing thing with her where, like, you would, like, see, she would phase and you would just see, like, images of her, like, in one place. And
That was cool.
I thought it was really cool.
I liked it.
And so that's definitely like there's things to like in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this is not the movie to watch after Infinity War.
I would recommend skipping it, but if you just want a fun like buddy cop kind of movie almost, watch it.
Or what you could do if you really want to watch all of them, watch them out of order. Watch this movie, and then watch Infinity War, and then come back and watch the post-credit scene of this movie. Like you could watch the full movie before you watch Infinity War.
I can see that.
That way, you can hit Infinity War, and the next movie in between this is Captain Marvel, which is also set before the events of so watch that one before and then just do Infinity War and Endgame back to back.
That's what I would do.
That's what I would recommend.
I would recommend that. Yeah, Infinity War and Endgame need to be back to back, I think. These in between movies, again, they're going to suffer from plot armor because Captain Marvel can't die, obviously, because that's her first movie, and then Ant-Man, to me, he couldn't die. I didn't think he was going to die, especially he just got this movie right after the film. And then we see the end credits where, like you see everyone else disappear except Ant-Man.
Right.
And I was like, okay, how are they going to get him out? I was like, so now he's going to get out in Endgame somehow.
Don't worry, a rat will get him out.
The randomness of that. Oh my gosh.
That's okay. That was one of,
11 million.
12 million scenarios that Doctor Strange saw. It was
Doctor Strange saw a rat. And he's like, oh, the rat is the key.
It must be.
I mean, it was just.
All right.
Yeah. I was not happy.
So, in terms of the overall Infinity Saga, we've already kind of talked about how this movie's not essential.
Nope.
But it does tie in.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that they talk about in this movie, they also talk about in Endgame, with all the quantum stuff. And I did like there was one joke in this movie that I really, really enjoyed.
Okay.
That's the first time that they go see Lawrence Fishburne's character, Goliath.
Okay.
And he's talking about something, and Scott just goes, do you guys just put quantum in front of everything?
As they're leaving there.
And I'm like,
I love
that's
that.
a nice meta joke because that literally is what they do.
I liked that
it's
one.
It's quantum everything. And you're like, what?
Now, the one thing that I will say I'm sad on is that we never get to see Lawrence Fishburne turn into Goliath. Because in the comics, that is a character.
And maybe we will in a future Ant-Man movie. They have announced that there is going to be an Ant-Man 3. So,
hopefully, because I would love to see
haven't loved either of the first two, although I don't hate either of them either.
Right.
They're just kind of middle of the road, lower end Marvel movies for
They're
me.
just, I want to have a good popcorn movie.
Yeah.
Watch
So,
them.
all right. Give me your final thoughts on this movie. Aaron, go. Ant-Man, what's your final score?
Final score, I would say kind of watch it out of order. Ant-Man 1 and Ant-Man 2, watch them back to back. You'll get a good, about 3 hours long laugh, I would say.
Yeah.
And overall, with the jokes, at least the special effects are good.
Mm-hmm.
I would say a good solid 7. Now, I'm not going to rate it much higher because, again, there's a lot of plot holes. There's a lot of issues I have with the movie. The acting, where they took some of the characters. But graphics-wise, it's, like you said, the shadowing is really cool, how it looks like she's in one place, but then she's there and all this.
Right.
And again, I still love the quantum realm when they're going through it. You get to see all the different dimensions and creatures and stuff.
Cool.
And then, like you said, the fights are amazing, especially the car chase scene was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Unique, I guess.
Yeah.
Because like that's never been done. So I was like, okay, these are cool. These are cool things about the movie. Like, even though we bash it, don't think it's a bad movie. Go see it.
Yeah.
So that's my overall thoughts. What about you?
Yeah, so I mean, we've already talked about the things that are positive in this movie. It's humor, it's action, it's the technology, it's the special effects, all those things. The things that are negative are, the plot is very convenient. There's things that aren't explained, and it ultimately is very low stakes and doesn't really matter.
Right.
So where that lands for me is actually, I'm going to come in a little bit lower than you.
Ooh.
It's a 6 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
I don't think it's a bad movie. Again, it's, a 6 out of 10. That's still a positive, on the positive end of the score. But yeah, it's ultimately, I think I wanted more. I think I rated the first Ant-Man a 6 out of 10 as well.
I think so.
And
go check.
For me, this was it was disappointing because I wanted it to be better.
Right.
And it feels like it was kind of the same. It was the same level. Like there were still funny jokes. There were still funny characters. There were still funny things that went on. The Luis bits were hilarious. But I wanted more. And especially coming off of Infinity War, this was disappointing to me. So, it's not a bad movie. Enjoy it. But definitely, if you've been following along with us, and you just watched Infinity War, hold off on watching Ant-Man.
Yeah.
This is not the movie to follow up that movie with.
No, not at all.
So, well, those are our thoughts, guys. So, again, we want to know what you think. Let us know down in the comments. Maybe we're crazy. Maybe this is your favorite Marvel movie. I don't know. So, drop those comments down below. Give us your rating. Like, comment, subscribe. Again, that's Aaron. I'm Robert. For Get Your Geek On. We want to know what keeps you geeky. And we'll talk to you soon as we review Captain Marvel next.